recipes for people who need more probiotics in their diet. Who doesn't really? But also, this is something that I love to give to my clients who suffer with like acid reflux type symptoms. So it is no secret, unless you are living under a rock somewhere, how dangerous protein pump inhibitor drugs can be when used for too long, right? So those medications are phenomenal for someone who needs them short term while trying to fix the underlying root problems as to why you may be producing too much stomach acid, right? But a lot of times people are left on them for years, okay? So you need stomach acid to be able to digest the proteins in your food. You need stomach acid to build healthy hormones. You need stomach acid to have beneficial bacteria in your gut. And when you don't have any of those, then you develop severe chronic food allergies, intolerances. You don't sleep well because your body's not producing the melatonin that it needs. And you develop you develop such awful anxiety. And I see this happen all the time because your body's not able to produce the B vitamins that it needs and absorb that through your food. So the next thing you know, you don't understand why all of a sudden you're an anxious hot mess. So when people come into the apothecary with a lot of these disorders, the first thing I look for is, have they been on acid blockers? And a really good home test, and I learned this from one of my herbal teachers, her name is Phyllis Light, but one of the things that she has all of her patients do is she has them drink room temperature water on an empty stomach. And if you do that and you start to feel as if you have acid reflux type symptoms, then that means that you're actually not producing enough stomach acid. So when we're younger and when we're children, up until about the age of 30, we actually can be more hyperchlorhydric, which means that we do produce more stomach acid. When we get into our late 30s and older, we actually slow down our stomach acid, but it can feel the same. So I just want you to really take charge of your own health and have a deep understanding of how you can support yourself. So this recipe that we're going to do today is my fermented applesauce. And Brian actually had this idea years ago of making fermented applesauce. And then I started playing with it and using it at the apothecary for my clients, and it's just been so healing. It's amazing. So what you want to start with is, of course, organic pesticide-free apples because they are highly sprayed with pesticides. We are going to inoculate those with some my SCOBY here. We're going to use some of this mother. And this right here is made from, I made this batch of kombucha with cottonwood bark. It's really high in tannins. It's very healing. So we're going to inoculate it with cottonwood bark because it's also amazingly anti-inflammatory. I'm still battling with this respiratory junk. So after I ferment these, right? So these are going to get fermented. What I do is I always use marshmallow root, demulcent wound healing, right? And then we have calendula. So the calendula is amazing for healing wounded epithelial tissue in your skin. And then we have plantain leaves and some plantain seeds. So plantain is also extremely wound healing for damaged epithelial tissue. So after all of this ferments for a couple weeks, I will powderize these specific herbs with aloe skin. And I want to show you how to do this real fast because the skin of the aloe is actually a laxative. So you don't really want to get any of that in there unless you think you need it. But when you're working with the aloe, you're really wanting the pulp right inside. And I really encourage you, please don't buy those mass-produced store aloes that have lots of preservatives in them. That's just so denatured. You don't want aloe powder. You don't want any of that stuff. You want real apple. And it's even better if you grow it. So I just met this really amazing man named Carrick, who is moving to the state of Indiana to be a homesteader, and he lives in Pennsylvania right now, and he has a forest of aloe. So when he moves here, I told him, oh my gosh, please let me know when you're here and I will come down and buy so much of your aloe from you, because I never can grow enough. So here we are going to have powderized herbs, okay? Once you have fermented your apples, you're going to powderize these herbs. All you need is a coffee grinder. And then you're going to add in fresh pureed aloe. That's what you're going to do. And you're going to eat that just like it's a dessert every single day. Every day. All of these herbs are going to help calm, soothe, and heal, okay? And then you're going to have the fermentation in your apples, and apples already contain pectin, which is wound healing for skin, and it's really supportive with acid reflux types symptoms, right? And then we're gonna put in, let me move this thing's been giving me fits. Here we go. So I have some apples pureed in here already. So of course you don't want the core or the seeds, but we're also gonna add in some healing spices. So cinnamon is very demulcent. It adds a lot of moisture into your tissues. And then we're gonna use cardamom, because cardamom is very cooling as an anti-inflammatory. So those are the two spices we're going to add in. And this is literally what you will call food as medicine. So we're gonna add a whole bunch of cardamom in there. Kind of like Paula Deen. I don't really like to measure anything. Unless you're baking, and then you have to. Lots of cinnamon, Ceylon cinnamon, and please make sure that your spices are organic. And then here we go. I'm just gonna eyeball it to where we just have enough. Maybe about 3 tablespoons, right? Put it in your food processor. Make sure it's nice and blended, just like a nice chunky, but not quite pureed, kind of chunky applesauce. The apples, the cinnamon, the cardamom, and the aloe in here with the mother to the cottonwood bark kombucha. Now you can use whatever kombucha you have. I just had some cottonwood bark kombucha on hand, and it's already so anti-inflammatory that I was really excited to do that. So I am going to let this sit out and ferment and let it get to that nice bubbly phase. And then I will make sure to cap it, put it in my refrigerator, powderize these herbs, and use them blended in with it for an extremely delicious, nutritious, and healing remedy to help heal and soothe inflammation in the lining of that esophagus and help to repair any type of damage from those PPIs. Now, something else that I was teaching this weekend that is fabulous for anybody who has apple trees or crab apple trees. You can use the bark and the leaves, and you can make a tea out of the inner bark and the leaves, and that is also outstanding for anybody with acid reflux issues. So inside the bark of the apple trees and the crabapple, what it actually does is that it helps to tone and tighten that esophageal sphincter while its anti-inflammatory properties are helping to heal and soothe the esophagus at the same time. Something else that to pay attention to is if you are low in melatonin. Okay, it doesn't mean run out and take a melatonin supplement because that's synthetic, it's not real. When we are constantly adding something in that is synthetic that our body naturally should be producing, then you're telling your body that it's okay, you don't need to make your own because you're synthetically doing it. So there's a disconnect there. But there are so many foods that are high in melatonin. Melatonin comes in our foods, and pistachios are one of the highest. So look up foods that are high in melatonin. You can literally Google it, and it will tell you foods that you can add into your diet, because melatonin not only helps you sleep, but it controls that esophageal sphincter also. So if you're eating foods that are high in melatonin and you are drinking your bark to your apple trees, which I keep at the apothecary, but a lot of people have crabapple or apple trees that they can use on their own property that maybe they didn't know that about. So here we go. This is a beautiful food as medicine with herbal blends to help with all things acid reflux, helping with stomach acid, helping to help you heal from the overuse of any type of protein pump inhibitor.